I'm Diego Cordovez with Schoenfeld. Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. And we have all these pictures of the grand old days of poker. And today we're going to have someone from that era,
Yes.
Matt Savage, who was the tournament director of the World Series of Poker the last couple of years at Binion's, and who really did a great job, even though we like to make fun of him. And but a lot of people might not even realize.
He knows the old ways.
He knows the old ways, but he actually played a big role kind of in bringing poker into the new era, because it used to be there were no rules. There was just be made up on the fly,
right,
based on how much you tipped the floor man or how much you tipped the tournament director. And Matt brought a lot of integrity to the whole business.
He at least he hid it.
Now, he was so successful that he achieved the greatest honor that anyone could achieve, which is induction to the Tournament Directors Hall of Fame.
Oh, the prestige.
So now that you've been excluded from being a tournament director of the World Series of Poker, now you're playing at the World Series of Poker, and after the first day...
Talk about a duck out of water.
I mean, I love it. After the first day, you're up to almost 50,000 in chips. So
right.
I know that you played before you became famous as a worldwide tournament director, and you've played off and on, but...
You're using the term play loosely.
Yeah. But watching all the tournaments, all these final tables, did that really, has that helped you?
Well, yeah. I mean, starting yesterday, of course, I knew nobody at my table, and to see all these guys raising every pot, like the Phil Ivies and these guys, young aggressive players, watching their style and learning how they do it kind of helped me yesterday.
So you were playing the super aggressive style?
Super aggressive, yes.
I find that hard to believe.
I do too, actually.
And what was your experience with that?
It wasn't my strategy going in, but worked out pretty well. Again, everybody seemed like they were intimidated. I won a lot of pots with nothing. So
did you have any players you knew?
Nobody.
This is the first time you play the main event, or not?
It's the first time I played the main event, yeah. I've played a few other World Series events, but no success.
For people that don't know, back when the tournament was at Binion's, and Matt was a co-tournament director with Jimmy Miller, if you were a tournament director, you could still play in the events, and your fellow co-tournament directors would make the rulings, and
you got short on chips, you just go to the box.
No, I'm not saying that, but it was kind of the old style.
I am
There's
saying
a lot. There's a little bit of a looser style. You're probably not going to see, Jim,
Jack
Effel or Jeffrey Pollack at the table.
Probably.
But in the old days, you'd be playing right with the tournament director, you're always hoping that you didn't get into a.
I never played. I thought I didn't really
didn't go through
that.
You're teasing Matt, but in the real old days, in the 70s, anything went down there.
Right, of course. But even at Binion's, you'd be playing, and a member of the Binion's family might be standing right behind you, even though they're backing other guys at the table or whatever.
True.
Now, we joke around, but I mean, you did a fantastic job when you were running the World Series of Poker. I mean, you really, I think, took it to a new level of professionalism, and now Harris has picked up on that. As a player now, I feel Harris has improved a lot year to year, and this year has been very well organized. As a player, what are your impressions?
Well, this year is the first year that my phone wasn't ringing every day saying, you got to come back and take care of this, which is a good thing. And, Jack Effel very respectfully calls me from time to time, asks questions, and I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of the other guys wouldn't do that. So I appreciate that he gives me the time and, the respect of giving him some answers that he needs.
I was amazed at how well this tournament was run, the main event I'm talking about, and the whole thing too, but the main event, at the end of the day, it was such a pleasant surprise. Even last year, it was like a 50-minute wait to get the chips bagged when you're shot mentally. Right. This year, it was over before I knew it. Of course, I didn't fill out my bag properly, as I found out later.
Right. Even with my assistants.
Yeah,
I was at another table. I came over, and I was helping. I said that you got to put the slip inside the bag, keep a copy. But even with all that, we forgot to write outside.
I'm like a Jerry Lewis or Woody Allen, like fumbling the chips, and I got other people's chips, and they've got.
Me as a tournament director, I watch how they're going to do it, what's the procedure, and basically they just have you write down your number on the bag, which probably at the end of the day isn't the best for the chip counts, but you're opening your own bag when you come back the next day, so it's fine. And then the seating assignment, how they give out this new seeds.
The fact they give it out right away is a big deal and helps a lot in terms of.
I hope you're at 21 red on.
No, I'm in blue.
Okay. There's a few rules interpretations that have been implemented here that I love, which I think are the greatest changes ever. Matt, I want to get your input, and then I'll tell you when you're wrong.
By the fact I was texting on my phone all day yesterday, and nobody said a word.
Yeah,
they've
relaxed.
That's allowed, which is great.
Yeah.
No, it's not allowed, but they've
it is allowed.
themselves. No, it is not allowed. They've said
you're not allowed to make a voice call.
No, They said no texting or receiving texts.
I'll quote Rule 87 right now. I've just read extensive research on this. The written rule now says that texting is fine, but you cannot take any kind of voice call.
So you can get a text from someone saying, this guy's bluffing, you should call him, or I put...
Who's going to be observing and texting? They can just wave their arms.
Well, I don't know. What's interesting is that over the loudspeaker, they've announced a number of times that no making or receiving calls, no making or receiving texts. So they said, keep your phone off, and if you have to do anything, including sending a text, step away 1 table length from the table, they said.
So Matt, you were cheating?
Apparently so.
But what's weird is we had David Singer on, and we talked about how he was embroiled in this big brouhaha last year involving...
He was totally wrong.
Which we told him. And
I thought we went a little too far because I open hand slapped him.
But the one thing
the
one thing that he was right about was the fact that they actually, in general, had been very severe about making sure people didn't even have their cell phones open.
Right.
Whereas this year, they really do seem to have relaxed. Like, people step away and people are courteous, but if it rings or people are looking at it, the dealers just kind of look over like, why don't you step away? Whereas last year they were like just snatching your hand or calling a penalty.
I was watching live updates, while I was sitting there playing. It was pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it made it easier for me to get through the day, really.
I don't mind that they discourage call. I don't mind if they do not let you take a voice call. But to kill a guy's hand in a crucial spot because he glanced at his phone, that would be a tragedy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a rule that doesn't belong in poker. I'm sorry that some people still do it that way.
Now, another one that I really applaud is they've relaxed the cursing rule, where they don't have the blanket enforcement. If you say the F word, you're penalized, which as adults is ridiculous. But if you curse someone directly, that's abusive. You can also get a penalty for abusing someone without cursing.
Right. I've always had that rule in my tournaments. As long as it's not directed towards anybody or insulting somebody at the table, then it's not a problem. But like yesterday, some guy jumps up and yells the F word and screams it across the room. Now, there I might give somebody a penalty right away.
I don't think that's proper, and that's the inappropriate celebration or anti-celebration.
Hivad Khan, Humberto Brenes rule
from
last year.
I just muttered bulldozer to myself.
The thing about that is, we talked about this as being like a great rule, not really thinking that it would be implemented or that they really go ahead and do it, and they have, which is fantastic.
And
this is the ultimate common sense rule, which is like, yes, it's maybe 5 years too late, but better than never.
But the tenor of the room has really changed to where I think it's a much more professional atmosphere, and the antics have been all but eliminated. The inappropriate antics. I don't mind having a little fun, Matt.
Right.
Like, you're a big buzzkill.
No, I mean, I don't mind some celebration because it is exciting. I'm playing for $9 million in this tournament, so it's
But
you can get excited, especially as you get deeper.
They have to take the rule a little bit farther, because right now, if you really celebrate, you go crazy, you get a penalty. But it should be automatic, even if it's quiet. Automatic penalty if you say ship it, or if you use the word donk.
Ship it. That's the one I hand.
Or one time.
One time. But especially, you win a pot, ship it. Even if it's calm and not too many people hear it, automatic 20-minute penalty, in my opinion.
Now, Matt, I had mentioned to you a few weeks ago, and I think this is very important. In my watching of poker on TV recently, one thing I noticed, which must be stamped out, is people leaving the table when they are still involved in a hand.
Of course, we made it a rule. It's a TDA rule.
Is that a TDA rule now? Okay.
Even if I'm all in, I should not be allowed to leave the table. I can put my head down, but my opponent has a right to observe me, even if there's no further action to me.